historic, to help us not make pet store employees the enemies because they're doing their part. And here's Kayla.
Mary.
Awesome. Hi. How are you?
Good.
And there's Veronica. Wonderful.
Hi.
Hey. I was just sort of giving everyone idea of what the purpose of the session is. I'm so excited that we're doing this. I'm a little embarrassed that it took us 6 years to figure out that we can work with the pet store employees who care, who want to learn, and give them the information, make a difference at a level, that we can't touch. We can't go in there and fix the substrate or, talk to customers in the way that an employee can. So I'm really happy you guys are doing this. I'm gonna pop off. Looks like we have 24 people in here, so that's awesome. 24 that are interested in the whole topic, which is exciting. Anyway, I have a little megalopa who is stubbornly not going in his shell, so I'll be listening, but I'll be like trying to convince him to do the right thing. Thank you both.
Good luck with that. Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
All right. So everyone, Mary talked a little bit about her initiative that we implemented this year, which is providing free and discounted tickets to pet store employees, which was super awesome and exciting. And today I'm going to be talking with Veronica and having a bit of a roundtable discussion with everyone and getting some questions and ideas about how to improve the lives of hermit crabs at pet stores. Because as we know, as much as we are all activists out there, it's not going to change tomorrow. And it's really important that we work with pet stores and help bring them into the newer age of hermit crab keeping. And what we understand now is important for them. So, Veronica, do you want to tell us a little bit about your work and what you do?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me okay? Is my audio on? Okay. So I'm Veronica. I am a manager at PetSmart. I've been a manager in that department for about 1.5 years now, close to 2 years. And I had no idea on how to take care of hermit crabs until a customer had come in one day, had 5 hermit crabs, didn't want them anymore. And so I told her I would take them in until I could find them another place. So little did I know, even setting them up for a temporary situation, I might as well have set them up permanently. So that's what I did. And during that process, I learned things about hermit crabs I didn't even know I had any questions for. So now 7 hermit crabs later, actually more than that, 7 of my own, probably 5 or 6 more that I have been able to rehome. And I am now this huge advocate in the store for trying to get the right information out there. As we know, information is horribly inaccurate when it comes from corporate. We do have care guides that offer better information than it used to. Corporate does listen to some degree, and they've made some changes to how we are able to take care of a lot of the animals in our in-store care. And in regards to having them go out to potential pet parents, we actually have the ability to deny sales if we don't feel like they're going to be in a good situation. So that's given us a lot of empowerment in how we can assure that the animals are going to good homes, including, the hermit crabs. And a lot of people are very, very surprised. And a lot of the pet parents are very surprised at how big of a commitment it is keeping hermit crabs. So I'm really pleased in being in the pet industry at this point in time. simply because we do have a voice now and we do have that ability. And not all stores have the right kind of management to back up that policy where it does state in black and white that we have the ability to refuse sales. A lot of stores still look at the bottom dollar. I'm fortunate in that in our district, not just our store, a lot of the management team backs their employees. So um, in this age of animal welfare and trying to get things to um, a better life environment for all the animals, you know, and not just the hermit crabs, literally all the animals in the store down to goldfish. We have a voice. So it was really cool yesterday, for instance. I had a couple come in and they were asking about hermit crab supplies. And I was able to not only give them my personal experience on finding out about all this extensive information and how much they really need in order to live a fulfilling life and how long they end up living. I mean, I'm going to end up having to will my hermit crabs to my children, my grandchildren probably. I'm 60 years old now, so you know this is something that I have to think about too, and I also pass that on to other people. So not only do I have this practical knowledge now, trying to pass it on to my employees, which is it can be pretty overwhelming. I mean, we know how much care it takes, and we've got a lot of animals. A lot of people come into the pet store industry as an employee, not knowing a whole lot about animals and exotics, especially. So one of the things I've been able to do, where is it? Ouch! Ooh, I've got a bird loose, and you just bit my toe. Sorry. I have been able to. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I make these 3x5 cards with resource information. And I have the pet parents come in. Oh, helper. Yeah, right. He's a helper. All right. He's a little conure and they can be very nippy. Anyway, so I've got these resources that have, that I have the pet parents come in and take a picture of. That way they can take it home. They don't have to remember all the information that I'm bombarding them with in the 10 minutes that I have to talk to them. You know, I take them to the areas of the items that we do have that are safe for hermit crabs. You know, for instance, the single ingredient bloodworms, brine shrimp, you know, that kind of thing. You know, my store leader, my boss's boss knows that I'm constantly telling people what we have is not right for you. You know, and that's what I love about our management team is they are, and they know how passionate I am about animals in general. You know, the painted shells we still sell, the foods that the companies provide that are supposed to be for hermit crabs. So it's constantly updating and upgrading, and they all know, hey, you need to know about hermit crabs, go ask Veronica, go ask Veronica, go ask Veronica. Come in tomorrow, Veronica will be here. You know, and it's really, really important for me personally that I'm giving out that right information. So I talk to you guys on a regular basis. You know, I'm in the groups. I'm seeing the anecdotes. As far as I see the inquiry about policy for sick or injured crabs. We do have policies in place. We have policies in place that I actually have a note on the front of our new arrival tank, which we keep all our hermit crabs in the back in our new arrival room. They're not even on the floor. They're supposed to be on the floor. But where they have designated for hermit crabs is not appropriate. It is an empty. We have a giant fish wall. So you know, any of you that's been in PetSmart know we've got tank after tank after tank They're just separated by dividers. And that's what we would have for the hermit crabs. Just a small tank next to another tank, where the possibility for flooding is very, very real. So, because we have to do the tank maintenance, and we're in there scrubbing, and the water gets from one side to the other. And we don't want to have that happen. And that is my argument for our district leader. And if it goes above that, I've got these answers for questions that are asked about why are your hermit crabs not out on the floor. I do have a sign on the floor on our podium that says "Ask about our hermit crabs," and we'll be glad to bring out the whole tank and say, "Here's our hermit crabs." But we won't put them on the floor anymore, simply because it's just not it's not a healthy environment for them. So as far as the sick animals go, I've got a sign on there right now that says "Leave the hermit crab alone," that is underneath the water dish, for instance, because he just got done molting. I mean, he's still in the process of eating his exo, for instance. So even though he's a reasonably healthy hermit crab, he still needs to go through that process of his exo. So, the lost limbs, we can't, unfortunately, there are restrictions that we do have. So in a lost limb, we can instruct the pet parent that, it will come back, after a couple of molts. But there are things that you have to be aware of. And I use the information that I've learned from you guys and give them these links and these Facebook pages to get more information on how to take care of these crabs that have come in sick. I make sure that every pet parent understands that these have been harvested from the wild and they're not in good conditions. They've been made to, endure this horrific journey from wilds to stores. But again, corporate listens. They have stopped getting hermit crabs in painted shells, for instance. All hermit crabs are now in natural shells.
That's a huge improvement.
They're not sending us 12 hermit. Yeah, that's a huge thing. They're not sending us 12 hermit crabs at a time anymore for a 10-gallon tank. They're only sending us 2. So they're listening. You guys don't stop sending this information to corporate. It might not help going into a store on a store level because the stores have to go by what corporate deems. And we've got a little bit of leeway to play with. We've got a little bit of a little more control about how we can do things, how we can sell them to the pet parents, how we don't need to sell them to the pet parents. I can't tell you how many times I've been called into corporate lawn because I would not sell somebody a hermit crab. And so keep sending that information. Keep sending your concerns and your information updates. The vets they have that overlook this stuff, they're not experts in every animal. So it's up to you guys and your expertise to go ahead and send that up and keep sending that up. Somebody's going to listen because our changes have been implemented in these policy changes over time. The information cards we have is a really good way to give them that source of information. Once I have bombarded them with all kinds of overloads so they can have that something to look at after purchase or even pre-purchase. And as far as point of sale goes, we want to make sure they get that information prior to the POS. That is super important because the cashiers do not have time to go into that information. It's all about getting that person checked out, going to the next one, get that person checked out, go to the next one. They do have a short amount of time where they can get a couple of questions in and say, hey, you might want to ask so-and-so about this. But with the hermit crabs in particular, generally we have a little bit of time to get at them before that point of sale. So the cashier does not have to worry about trying to get information in when they're trying to get them out. So it's really important as a pet care employees selling these animals, that we get that information to them. So I think I'm so excited for this forum right here. Is so exciting to me to be able to do this.
It's super
So
valuable. Veronica, I
yeah,
know a lot of our like supporters and advocates out there want advice on how to approach a store and the employees, and whether to always go through corporate or if it's a local pet store, how to talk to the people and the best way to go about it without, of course, disrupting the daily tasks of the pet store employees themselves always.
right. That's really tricky. Um, there are, as I said earlier, there's a lot of stores that are not as open to the valuable information that experts provide on how to take care of their hermit crabs right in store. It really, I mean, approaching with kindness. All you can do is plant the seed. Plant a seed. I used to. I was starting to bring in little flyers, with basic information. And I actually got that. I don't have that little paper here, but I actually got that, and I can't even remember which Etsy store that I got it from included with my food, but it was some very, very basic care requirements. And instead of doing that, it was just that 3x5 card that I showed earlier. And it's just this basic information here. It's backwards, so if y'all can read backwards, you're better than me. But it's hand just simply going in and say, look, I see your hermit crabs here. Can I offer some information? And it's always asking. I mean, I can go in like a freaking Mack truck, and I'm greeted with a Mack truck in like, I've had people shut down because I've gone in so overzealous, and really wanting to make a difference, and that's backfired on me. So it's going in with, hey, even in one of our other stores I've been into, and said, hey, this is stuff that I've just learned. Can I give you this information? And that's all I can do, is just give the information. What and how they can deal with that is really how open-minded that other person is. All I can do is plant a seed. So as far as Clover asked, how would I suggest for employees to start advocating for changes to be made? Corporate, they can't fire you for asking to make changes, especially if you have scientific data to back that up. If you have these collectively hundreds of years experience with these rescues, and the people who are doing these educational programs, and all of these experts that have already been there, done that, they can't fire you for that. Don't be afraid to speak up. I absolutely am a voice that, I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble one of these days for being a little too loud sometimes, but it's worth it, because again, the changes are being made. There's a lot of really good progress in the pet industry, and it is a slow process. Like anything, it takes years for real changes to be made, but it's got to start somewhere.
I think that's a really good point. And you've already stated so many ways that you've seen progress, like the painted shells, and improvement is being made. And I think it's important for us to all see all the wins, since we feel like it's kind of a always uphill battle, but we do have major wins happening out there, like the shells and the abilities that you're having at your store to keep them in the back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have a lot of freedom on how to set those up in the back as well. There is a substrate that we have to use that is corporate deemed, but it's not as bad as it used to be. we used to have to mix a half and half mix of the calci sand and cocoa coir. Now they send their own blended with, I really don't know if it's cocoa or if it's calci sand or not, but it's a very thin blend of three different things, and that's the sand, eco earth, and moss. So they're actually doing a little bit better in that area as well. And we can add all the decorations we want, so we don't add too much because we need to be able to see and monitor these little hermit crabs. But I don't know how to get pictures on this from my phone, but we do have, I use my own Etsy foods, so all the Etsy foods that I use for my own crabs, I bring them in. I'm allowed to feed them that. The green sand, the worm castings, all those other blends, as well as our own foods. I don't feed our pet store foods at all. Our district leader has never said anything. My store manager has never said anything. My direct boss, thinks it's a great idea, so we're allowed to give them those high energy foods. Yes, the high energy foods. We have that. I have a little dish for olive oil, for avocado oil. So yes, we can do those things. We just need to make sure that other stores know that they can do this too. And I get on there, there's 3 different Facebook groups for PetSmart employees that I'm on. And I told all of them about this. And I reminded them again about 2 weeks ago that this was happening. You get your free tickets. I don't know how many of those employees really even feel the urgency the way so many of us do. But again, it's just putting it out there. It's putting it out there. It's putting it out there, and yes, collectively, and bombarding individually is really those are, the 2 best options to go through at corporate. Collectively, like 10 people going into a pet store that is not selling hermit crabs the way they should be, so it can be a little overwhelming and they might kick you out the door. So an individual, gentle look, I've noticed, is the way to go there. So yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do this. There are definitely wrong ways to do it. There's definitely right ways to do it. Just like in the groups, I mean, we can shut down people super fast if we're going judgmentally. But if we're doing it with kindness, we may be able to get that information out a little bit quicker, a little more open-armed. And then when those employees get their information and say, wow, I really didn't know, then they can also go to corporate, making sure that they understand that, no, you can't get fired for this. It's not something that is a fireable offense when, their slogan right now is anything for pets. What does that mean? So anything for pets, as far as PetSmart goes anyway, that's anything, so it's bettering the lives of the animals, and that can be true for Petco, Pet Sense, beach shop stores. So many of them are out for $1, and we're not going to make changes in those stores. But we made the effort. We made the effort. So, and who knows? Maybe a customer is standing nearby, hears this information, and there's planting the seed in somebody else.
No, that's a really good point. In the just all about education and kindness, it goes a really far way, I think. And like you said, not all the employees understand hermit crabs, so it's important to even introduce them to the concept of the different care methods and what needs to be improved.
Exactly. That's really, even for my own employees, it's really hard to get them because we have so many animals to learn about. You know, we've got the chameleons and the different geckos and the bearded dragons, all the different types of fish, you know. So I'm asking, I can't make them do anything. That's against our policy to make somebody do something, you know, along educational lines. All we can do is urge them, you know, and say, look, this is a really important one. You know, if you can do this, or at least get them to take a picture of that information card, you know, you're one step in the right direction to helping this particular animal and the hermit crabs in particular. I tell people all the time, hermit crabs are upper level care, just like chameleons. Chameleons are an extremely hard animal to take care of. A lot of people understand how difficult they are to take care of. So when I can compare the hermit crabs to that, it opens their eyes a little bit, and accepting information a little bit better. And it's like, wow, I didn't know.
That's super powerful. Do you have any advice for any pet store employees listening? And just like based on your experience, how to approach their coworkers and help educate them. So if they're not on that specific shift, how they can help the hermit crabs as well?
Well, in our particular store, I have a binder, and that's where all these cards are. And what I've told my employees is pick a card, any card, you know, and do some research. And I always gear them towards those high level care requiring animals first. So for other pet store employees, you know, it would be, you know, just setting up some information cards, little 3x5 cards, or Conyer does want another toe to bite. I'm telling you, he's down here on the floor, and I've got my feet. My toes are very scared right now. Thank you, Allison, for the reminder. For other people wanting to pass this information along, you're here, you want to learn. You're in this convention today, you want to learn. Take the information, get those groups together, get those websites together, put it on a 3x5 card and say, hey, I just learned a whole bunch of stuff. Here's a card on information that's really helpful with this particular animal, with these hermit crabs, you know, that we sell in store. And I'm going to start learning more about this. So I'm going to leave this here so you can too. You know, it's as simple as that. It's just writing down information. It's really, or texting them. If you're friends enough with somebody and you've got their number in your room or in your phone, text them the information. Text some links. You know, we've got a lot of people that in our store that you know are comfortable enough with each other that we text each other all kinds of stuff. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, but being able to pass on that information has been really important too through texting. But if texting isn't an option, leaving that information somewhere on the podium or in the back or on the hermit crab habitat, if you keep them in the back, you know, anywhere that you know that the
I think we lost Veronica there, but we are just about wrapping up on this session anyways. The parrot might have done it, actually. If everyone wanted to throw some support in the chat for Veronica and her awesome efforts. It's been amazing. We are continuing the tradition of our Clabby Claws here, and so we should definitely need to celebrate Veronica and all the hard work that she's doing to help the crabs of her pet store. I think she gave us some great advice on how to advocate and move forward with ourselves as non-pet store employees, and advice for the pet store employees, hopefully some who are watching through the free ticket initiative. So that was awesome. So thanks everyone. I hope you're having a great CrabCon, and this was super inspiring to hear about how we're bettering the lives of pet store crabs. All right, thanks everyone.